Episode 121, Ironman 70.3 Boulder with Shane Peed. Welcome to the pursuit of the perfect race. I'm Coach Terry Wilson, and with each episode, I bring stories of athletes to you that share their experiences at races in order for you to learn how to have your perfect race. We will hear stories from athletes of all ages, abilities, and races of all distances. So regardless of where you fit in, there's something in it for you. Thanks for spending some time with me today. Now let the pursuit begin. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the pursuit of the perfect race. Today I have the pleasure of talking with my friend Shane Peed about his recent race at Ironman 70.3 Boulder, where he had a time of 5 hours, 13 minutes, 23 seconds. Shane has been doing triathlons for the past 3 years. This race took place on August 4th, 2018, with the temperature on race day being 66 and rising to 91 degrees, with a wetsuit legal swim of 70-ish degrees. Welcome back to the show, Shane. I look forward to hearing about your race at Ironman Boulder 70.3.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So how you been since the last time we talked about Galveston?
Pretty good. Things have heated up here in Nebraska for the summer, so been getting some good training in the heat and good consistent training pretty much all summer. So yeah, things have been going well. Good.
So what made you want to do this race, man?
Well, I live in Lincoln, Nebraska, so Boulder is the closest Ironman events to us. It's a little under a 7-hour drive. We don't have any Ironman events in Nebraska, so Boulder's always one of my favorite locations to race. This year was my third time doing Boulder 70.3, and I've done the full out there twice. So
nice.
I really enjoy racing out there. Yeah.
So how far ahead of time did you want to travel to Boulder, or does altitude really affect you?
I went to school out there for college, and I lived out there for a few years and been back and forth quite a bit between Nebraska and Colorado. And I've never really had too much of an issue with the elevation. I don't really say I feel the effects of it until, up above 9,000 feet. So, when I go to, Denver or racing in Boulder, I don't feel like it really hinders my performance much. And because of my school, I ended up just driving out the day before. Like I said, it's not too far of a drive. So I got in Friday afternoon and into registration late in the day on Friday.
Okay. So how is your training going into this race? Pretty consistent?
Yeah, it's been consistent. So I did, after Galveston, I did Ironman Texas. And then I did Ironman Boulder as well. So I had a lot of early season racing, and that was probably as close together as I ever want to do full Ironman. And going into Boulder, I don't know that I was even like completely recovered from Texas, but either way, as you may know, the full Ironman Boulder this year was extremely hot, like over 100 degrees hot. So after that, I took a good week and a half of recovery, and then kind of got back into a good training routine since then, and pretty consistent, like I said, for the second half of June and pretty much all of July. I was doing really well.
Okay. So going into this race in the previous 4 weeks, what was your longest swim, bike, and run workouts?
I guess my longest bike workout would have been a few weeks after Ironman Boulder. I did one of the gravel grinders that we have here in Nebraska. That was 100 miles on gravel, which equates to about a 6-hour ride. Longest run, that's probably the one area where I'm really lacking. I think my longest run was probably 10 miles, and I haven't been getting, good quality long runs in. That's something I want to, work towards this fall, is getting in more of a regular routine of those. And then longest swim, I started swimming quite a bit after Ironman Boulder. And, whereas prior to that, I would normally only get in like 1 or 2 swims a week for a total of like 3,000 or 4,000 yards a week. Now I've been getting upwards of 7,000, 8,000, even 10,000 yards per week on like, at least 3 or 4 swims. So I did have a swim PR at Boulder 70.3.
Nice. By how much?
About 2 minutes. So
Nice.
it doesn't seem like a lot, but it was a big improvement. And as far as swim times are considered, because I've just always come out of the water at about between 40 and 43 minutes, and I was 38:30 or so this time.
Right. Now, going into this race, what workouts did you do that gave you the confidence to go into this race where you could have a solid race day?
Well, like I said, picking up my swim workouts, I knew I was, set up for a good swim. One thing that I would probably change about how I race this was I backed off my power a little bit on the bike, just to try to preserve myself for the run, because it was still another warm day in Boulder, not quite as hot as the full, but still got up into the 90s. And I think I could have still put out more power on the bike without compromising anything on my run, because the run's going to be a struggle regardless, like in those temperatures.
Right.
But I felt really well prepared, especially on my swim and bike fitness.
Okay. Now, going into this race, what was the most hours you trained in 1 week?
Probably the biggest week would have been around 16 or 17, but I was consistently over 15 hours, like for the whole month of July. So I mean, it was like a really consistent month and time between the full in Boulder and this 70.3, and got a lot of just really good quality endurance training in.
Okay. So how big of an issue was showing up every day and putting in the work? Did you have any days where you just didn't want to train, or did you have the motivation pretty much consistently?
Yeah, so motivation was good. I mean, I think that's the only way I was able to keep my hours up like that, because that's definitely above average. Like my average for the entire year is between 11 and 12 hours. So it's definitely above average for me. But, in summer months help though too, like the days being long, because I do a lot of my workouts later in the evening and when there's still daylight, like after we put our kids to bed, that definitely helps with the motivation.
Right.
And it's still light out, but that's also like when it starts to cool off a little bit for the day. So it's a really good time. And that's probably the biggest motivating factor for me, especially at this time of the year.
That makes sense. So how big of an issue is balancing life, work, and training for you now?
I mean, I still really enjoy the training. Like, I mean, that's, just as fun to me as the races are. So, and it's like a stress relief for me. I mean, that's kind of why I wait till the end of the day to do my workouts anyways. So, I mean, it's something too, though, that I always I keep my priorities of my job and my family first. And then I work in the training around that. So I found it works really well for me to not follow a set training schedule. I can't tell you for sure what I'm going to be doing 2 weeks from now. But I do what my schedule allows for me. And it keeps my motivation up.
Okay. Now, you said you traveled the day before the race?
Yeah. Yep. I drove out to Boulder on Friday.
Okay.
So, and that was one of those things, that was kind of determined by my work schedule. So I wasn't able to travel out there any sooner than that, but it was, that wasn't really an issue.
Okay. So did you get an Airbnb or a hotel?
Hotel. I stayed at the at the Hampton, which is just right across the street from the reservoir there. So really convenient location. I've done that. Stayed there before when I raced this, and it works out really well.
Okay. So were they gouging the prices, or was it pretty nicely priced?
It was reasonably priced. I had quite a few points because that's one of the Hilton hotels. So I got, the rate that I ended up paying was reasonable then. And like I said, the convenience factor of it, really can't be beat in that location. And I was just there for 2 nights. So.
Oh, wow. So in and out.
Yeah, pretty quick.
Wow. So you got there to the race venue and checked in. How was your check-in process?
Check-in went really well because I have the AWA, and there's sometimes when that's really nice, and this is one of those because I got in late on Friday afternoon, and there's a ton of locals from Boulder and Denver that do this race, so everybody was checking in at that time, and there was at least 50 or 60 people in line, and I got to jump in front of all of them. So it went pretty fast. And then once I got to check in, it was actually really, really smooth and really quick. So that was really nice because I was coming on the tail end of a 7-hour drive, and I just wanted to go get my stuff ready to go for the race and then put my feet up. And the check-in process was really smooth.
Wow. So you drove 7 hours, checked in, and then went to your hotel after you get dinner. Yep. Gosh. So what'd you have for dinner?
So I found a place in Boulder. I think it's called 5 on Black. I've never been there, but just randomly stumbled in there, and they had I had a rice, sweet potatoes, chicken bowl, which was really just like a perfect pre-race dinner for me. So
okay. Do you usually go get in bed at a certain time the night before the race?
Yeah. I mean, I try to get to sleep early, but that's always tough to do the night before a race. It helps a little bit, like when I travel west, because I was 1 hour time change there, so I get to sleep a little bit earlier. I think I got to sleep shortly after 10.
Okay. Now, what time do you try to get up the morning of the race?
Usually between 3 and 4. I usually get up on the earlier side because I don't like being crunched for time or anything in the morning. And even though I was really close to the race, I didn't want to have anything set me back race morning. I also know I raced there last year, and they actually postponed the start last year because people were having trouble getting into the reservoir. Right. So the start ended up being postponed by like half an hour. And I was there really early last year, so I didn't have any issues with it. But I just knew, so even though I was really close, I still got into the race site pretty early. It was like shortly after 5. So.
Okay. Now, whenever you get to transition, what kind of PSI are you putting in your wheels?
So I usually run about 100 PSI, and that's on clinchers with latex tubes.
Okay. And was that pretty good for this course, you think?
Yeah, I think it ran really well. The bike out there is really fast, and it seems to just roll really fast, and that I really like that. That tire pressure and latex tubes setup.
Okay. So is this a clean transition race, or is this where you can lay your stuff out?
Yeah, so it's transition where you can lay your stuff out. But and that's what most of the Ironman 70.3s are like. You have all your stuff in transition, but those transition areas can get really crowded. So you kind of got to be a minimalist if you want to be able to get the stuff that you need in there and be able to access it quickly in transition. So
okay. Now I asked that because the night before the race, where everybody's bikes was in transition, it was like a storm came through and the wind basically whipped through the transition. I know there was a tent that was flying around at some point. Were you worried about your bike at all when you got to transition?
Yeah, I definitely was because, like I said, I was staying at the hotel right across the street. I saw when that storm blew in, and there was, thunderstorm warnings for Boulder, and the winds were picking up to upwards of 60 miles an hour plus. And I know I was in a spot in transition that was very exposed to the west winds. So yeah, I was a little nervous about it. And then when I got there, Saturday morning though, my bike was in good shape and, didn't appear anything was damaged on it. And, there actually wasn't even like any scuffs in the paint. So I don't know what they did, but, they saved it somehow.
Wow. And you're also rocking a disc and a deep wheel in the front too, right?
Yeah, the thing was like a sail pretty much. So.
Wow. Now you get to transition, you're putting your thing up. About what time do you start lining up in the corral?
So I got all my stuff set up, and then because I was still in pretty early to the reservoir, I got a pretty good parking spot that was actually like really close to where the swim was. And I forget, actually, I think I ended up going off right around 7:30. But I mean, I was parked within a few hundred feet of the swim start. So I just went back and sat in my truck until the swim was ready to go, and just walked up there and hopped in.
Wow. So where did you seat yourself at?
I think I was in the, I think it was like 34 to 37, wave that went off. And I went off on the, like on the back end of that, because that's kind of where I figured I was going to be. So I was pretty close.
Okay. Now, whenever you got in the water, the gun goes off. It's a rolling start, obviously, and you're not at the very front, but you're not at the very back either. So you're in there. How does the swim go for you? Was there a lot of elbows throwing around, a lot of feet hitting you in the face? What was that like?
I mean, like most races, for the first few hundred yards there was, and then it seemed to clear out pretty quickly. And what I like with those rolling starts is, especially when people are good and honest about their seating, is like after you get past that point, it's really smooth. And that's what this was like, was once I got, just a few hundred yards, it was just clear water for pretty much the entire swim.
Wow. Well, that's good. Now, for this, did you use tinted goggles or clear goggles?
I used tinted goggles. The sun can get pretty intense in the reservoir, and especially like on the outbound portion of the swim, you're swimming into almost direct sunlight. Okay.
Now, I know the quality of the reservoir in the past has been quite iffy if they let too much water in, or if the temperatures allow it, or whatever. Did the quality of the water there affect you at all?
I didn't think it wasn't too bad. I mean, visibility is never great in that water. It's not water that like you can really find feet easily if you want to draft in the swim or anything. But nonetheless, it's still better than most of the water around where I live.
Right.
So it wasn't too bad. It was kind of what I've seen is normal for out there.
Okay. Now you get out of the water. Are you taking advantage of the wetsuit peelers?
Yeah, I did. Yep. So those are always really helpful.
Nice. Now, were they in sand or were they in grass here?
That was in grass.
Okay. How far of a run is it from the swim out to your bike?
It was it wasn't too far of a run. I mean, I guess like for comparison purposes to other half Ironman events I've done, it's not any longer than most. So yeah, not too bad.
Okay. Now you get to your bike and you head out on the bike. Are you trying to hit a certain power, cadence, or a heart rate number? Are you trying to hit a certain strategy for this bike? What does that look like?
Yeah, usually riding primarily off power. I'll watch. I mean, my cadence always seems to fall very consistent, and my heart rate, I have it on my screen, but I don't follow it as closely as my power number, which I was targeting. I was targeting around 190, and that's what I mentioned earlier. I think I could have comfortably pushed, 205 to 210 and still not have impacted my run. So it was, relatively easy bike for me, but it was still fast. It's a really fast bike course.
Right. Now, what percentage of your FTP is 190, 195?
So my FTP is probably about 270, 280.
Wow.
It's probably a little bit above that, actually, like on a road bike, and that's what I've done my FTP test on. But I've noticed, like on my tri bike, I'm my power seems to be 15 20 watts less, like for the same effort. And I think that, I mean, it's kind of maybe a bit of like getting my fit more dry bike.
Right. Now, whenever you got on the bike, did you see a lot of flats or mechanicals?
No, actually, the strange thing about this race, I don't think I saw, I don't know that I saw one flat the whole race. So yeah, it seemed like it was really clean course. I don't know if they ran sweepers over it the night before, but I didn't see any flats.
So I guess the quality of the road was pretty good.
Yeah, really good. And it's all, I mean, it's pretty, like once you get north, they're closed roads or more or less closed. The diagonal is completely closed, and that's really smooth road surface, really clean. You know, that asphalt is, it seems like it's only maybe a couple years old. So it's really good quality road.
Nice. Now, how do you know how hard to push on the earlier stages of the bike ride versus the later stages? Even if you are using power, your perception of that power will change over time, but are you dialing it back a little bit or dialing it up towards the later stages, or are you trying to hit it all the way through? What does that look like?
So I kind of knew that was my number that I wanted to target, which, like I said, in hindsight was probably a bit on the low end of the scale of where I maybe should have been. But yeah, when you start out, like especially those the first 10 miles or so on the diagonal, and just it feels like I'm just spinning, you know, and I was, you know, averaging like 190 watts, but I mean, very like extremely easy effort for me. I mean, my heart rate on that, you know, probably matched to like a 110 to 120 heart rate. So, I mean, it starts out really easy, but I know that was an effort that I could maintain for the full bike course.
Okay. Now, whenever you actually got towards the middle portion of the bike ride, you're trying to nail your nutrition plan. What was your nutrition plan for this bike course?
I had I took 2 gels, goo gels, and then my hydration mix, everything else was liquid. And my hydration mix was the base hydro and amino, that I took in about 600 calories of that. And that was pretty evenly dispersed over the entire bike, you know, about 2.5 hours for me. And the gels, I took one in at about 45 minutes or one in at the first aid station and one in at the second aid station.
Okay. Now, were you trying to hit a certain number of calories per hour, or were you going off of what your body was needing at that point in time?
So, I mean, I guess that kind of equates to, you know, I guess what I'm usually at is about 300 calories an hour, give or take. And I found that sustains me pretty well through the bike, sets me up pretty good for the run. So yeah, that's usually what I try to target.
Okay. Now on the bike course, did you see a lot of drafting?
No, it's not too bad in Boulder. There's a few short climbs in there that tend to break it up. And I think it was also, pretty well officiated. I didn't see a lot of people getting penalties, but I also didn't see a lot of drafting, but I saw at least, officials on a half dozen occasions.
Okay. Now, whenever you got towards the later part of the bike ride, how were you feeling mentally? Were you in a good spot mentally? Or
yeah, I was feeling really good because I hadn't pushed anything too hard on the bike. It was starting to get hot though. So, you know, I was feeling really good, but I was also getting prepared for the run because that run out there is, very exposed. I knew it was going to be hot. So, I was still doing well mentally at that point.
So whenever you got to T2, did you take anything to prepare for the run, knowing that it was going to be so hot?
Nothing through T2, but I tried to get in as much as I could at the first aid station. You know, that's another thing that now that I look back on it, maybe I should have had something waiting in T2. Or, you know, I don't carry any nutrition on me with the run, but I could have taken taken something that I could have tossed, but have something in right away, right when I get started on the run, because once I was towards the end of the bike, I didn't have anything left to take in at that point.
So you didn't have enough fuel on the bike? That's what it sounds like?
No, I had plenty of fuel to get through the bike. I just, like, in the last, the last 20 minutes of the bike, I think I would have been better served to, like, if I could have got something in, or at least some liquid at that point. Because then I was probably getting to the point where when I started the run, I was maybe, a little bit dehydrated and running into a little bit of more of a calorie deficit at that point than I would have liked to have.
Okay. Now, on the first few miles of the run, are you experiencing any cramping or GI issues or fatigue that shouldn't be there?
No, not really. I don't have too much of an issue with cramping or GI issues. So, that wasn't really any problem. I mean, like I said, I maybe was running into a bit of a calorie deficit, and then with that heat, it's tough to take in. For me, it's tough to take in more calories. I mean, that's what, like, would cause GI issues for me. So it wasn't too much of an issue really at that point. It was more like once I felt it later in the run, because I was just running out of fuel, I think. Everything was going good until the run, and there's only so much I could do about it. Like, it was hot, and I told myself I wasn't going to complain about the heat because I did the full out there, and I mean, that was just brutal heat. Like, it was over 100 degrees for the entire run on the full out there. But the thing about the half is there's no break from it. Like, there's about 2 trees on that entire run course. And other than that, it's completely exposed. And there was no passing clouds that day either. It was just sun the whole time.
Man.
So that's just the kind of, and that's the thing at elevation, like, that sun is intense, and it just wears you down, So I think that was more the issue than, like, necessarily a nutritional thing. 'Cause, like, I mean, it didn't feel that bad, like my stomach or anything, but just once it's that hot, like, you can only go so fast.
Right. I think I was going to say, do you think the heat plays into the fact of not absorbing as much of the calories that you were consuming?
Oh yeah, definitely. So that's quite the contrast from, like, when I did Galveston and had a PR this spring, because it was, in the mid 50s that day. And it's just, to me, like, in those temperatures, it's really easy to take in whatever I need for calories. And your body
absorb it.
Yeah. Yeah. But, like, when it starts to get really hot, I feel like I got to be really careful about how much calories I start to take in. 'Cause then I start to get, like, gut sloshing really bad.
Gut sloshing?
Yeah. Like, I can hear it in my stomach, So, I mean, that's just what I've experienced. Like, when it gets hot and I take in too many calories, and like, my body's or my stomach's not absorbing them. So it just sits in there and, like, it kind of sloshes around.
Okay. Now, before you went into this race, what was your mindset going into it all before you got started? Did you know that this was going to be a kind of warm day and you were going to expect a little bit lower of a time, or were you going out here wanting to just crush the whole thing?
No, I was anticipating that. I mean, it was going to be a tougher race, like, that was going to be warmer. I also, I'm racing in Kona in October, and that's part of the reason why, like, I've had such a big training month in July. So I didn't necessarily do, like, a taper like I normally would for this race. I mean, it was pretty much 2 days, I guess, because the Wednesday before this race, I had a pretty big day. So I didn't, like, completely taper for it either, but I was feeling good. Like, my fitness is at, like, an all-time high for me. So I didn't feel, like, overly fatigued, but yeah, I did know it was going to be a tougher day. So, I mean, I was prepared for that, I think.
Okay. So mentally, how hard was this run for you?
Yeah, it was tough. Like I said, the sun, the heat out there, I mean, is to me a bigger factor than the elevation. So I definitely knew it was going to be challenging, but I mean, I just had to kind of, keep myself in reality and know that like it wasn't going to be a day for a PR, but I was still happy with my time that I finished in. So,
okay.
And nothing went drastically wrong.
Right. Now, what was the funniest thing that you saw on the run course?
On the run course?
Yeah.
I'd say it was the hippie for sure.
The hippie,
like a real true hippie, like a quintessential Boulder hippie. Like I don't think she was even dressed up. But yeah, I saw her twice on the run course, and the second time was coming across the dam. I think it was on the second loop, so it was like at mile 12. And yeah, she was like cheering me on and giving compliments to everybody, and she was really excited to be out there.
Wow. So as far as the run goes, is there anything you'd tell someone to be aware of that hasn't done this run course before?
Well, like I said, it's completely exposed. I've done this race 3 times now, and it's been hot every time. Like the first year it was in June, and then last year and this year it was early August. But every time I've done it, it's been well into the 80s or 90s. So it's a very exposed run course, and it's pretty much all on a gravel road or gravel path. There's, less than probably 5% of that run course that's on asphalt. So it's a softer surface. I mean, I don't mind it. Some people find it a little bit slower of a surface to run on, but it also gives a little bit of cushion too.
Okay. The last few miles of the run course, how was that?
That was when I was really feeling the fatigue, but it was okay because a little breeze picked up then. So that's one thing, like for the whole bike course, there was no wind, which was really nice. And then, on the run, there was no breeze though, which just made it, even hotter, but, the wind started to pick up. For me, it was just in the last 2 miles there, especially running across the dam, back into the finish. And I know some people that finished, a little bit later, had a lot of wind, but it was nice to feel that breeze. It was a little bit cooling. So,
okay. The last 800 before the finish line, how was that?
Yeah, it was pretty good. It's nice once you get off the dam, you're getting really close. But it always seems to drag out a little longer than you expect. And, I saw after the race that with the men's pro finish that it came down to the wire, and there was 2 seconds between them. And I can't imagine sprinting into the finish like that, so, it went well for me though.
Wow. So after you crossed the finish line, what'd you do next?
Just went over and try to get some food in. That's always a kind of a struggle for me, but, I know I should get something, at least something in as soon as I can, and drank, probably about 3 or 4 bottles of water, because I was definitely dehydrated, pretty significantly by that point.
Okay. Now to kind of change gears a little bit, how was your recovery process after the race?
It was good. I went for a swim the next day just for like 20 minutes. Pretty easy. And then the following day, I biked for a couple hours, a little bit harder than I would have anticipated, but recovery went pretty well. Just probably about 4 or 5 days before I got it back into like a, more vigorous workouts and back into like more of a regular training pattern. So just mostly easy workouts. And I try to, keep the running to a minimum, at least for the first week after a race. I think that's the most, stressful on the body. So kind of hold off on that.
Okay. Now, aside from pushing a little bit harder on the bike and maybe taking in a little bit more nutrition on the first little bit of the run, what would you change about your race and how it went?
I mean, those were probably the two big things. I may go back and rethink carrying something on the run for nutrition, at least just to start with. Because like I said, I think I missed a good fueling opportunity there that maybe didn't feel like it cost me immediately, but more towards the end of the race, I think that's when it really started to catch up with me, because I mean, I was keeping a reasonable pace for that first loop around the reservoir, but the second one I definitely started to fade.
So this was not a negative split race?
No, it wasn't. And I mean, it was okay. It was really I don't know, probably like miles, 10, 11, or really slow down. And that was both physically and mentally at that point.
Wow.
Because you're not close enough to the finish to just suck it up and push through it. But, still far enough into it that I was definitely feeling the physiological effects of it.
Sorry. So is this a race that you'd recommend for first timers?
Yeah, I think it would be a good one. It's usually a wetsuit swim out there, so I think that's always a good advantage, for a first time race. It's a really supportive community to the race. There's a lot of, there's a lot of experienced racers out there too. And I think that's a nice thing. Like if it were your first race, that that a lot of the people that you may see in transition or around the race site, are a good resource. Like if you have questions, and a lot of them have raced that year or have raced that race, multiple years. So because I found that just talking to people around me in transition, that a lot of them had done it several years as well. So
wow. So we covered quite a bit about the race. Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Not that I can think of.
Awesome. So if you could ask Ironman to change one thing to make your race experience better, what would you have them change or add?
It's hard to say right now. I mean, I think that rolling swim start, like for the half Ironmans, because I know they're doing that on most of the full Ironmans now, but like on the half Ironmans, I think it's a really good thing, because most of the half Ironmans do the wave starts, or I mean, a lot of them do the wave starts. And I think the rolling starts is just really a lot better option as opposed to a wave start, because wave start, like the waves seem to be random sometimes. I know there's different things that influence how they order them, but regardless of how they place them, you're going to have people swimming over the top of each other and at completely different paces than you would with a rolling start.
Okay, that makes sense. And I feel like with the rolling start, it alleviates a lot of anxiety that athletes might have going into the race, knowing that they can see themselves saying, hey, look, I know I'm a slow swimmer. Y'all fast folks go up there and I'll be back here hanging out. Or if you are fast, hey, look, these are more aggressive swimmers. We're here to swim and swim fast. Yep.
Yeah, I agree with that totally.
So you're doing Kona in what, 6-7 weeks?
I think it's 8 or 9 weeks.
Is it?
I hope I got that much time.
So where'd you qualify for Kona at?
So I actually ended up getting in through a charity slot.
Oh, wow.
Through the Ironman Foundation, because I raced Ironman Arizona last fall that I signed up for late. So I ended up having to take a charity entry to get into that. And I went ahead and did the whole fundraising thing and asked everybody for donations, and like all the other charities or people that I've helped support their fundraisers, reciprocated to me and raised a lot of money for the foundation and got in for a charity slot for Kona this year.
Wow. That's awesome. I have yet to hear anybody do that with the foundation. That's like something that isn't really well known. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. It's really, like I said, really excited for it. And, at my age and my athletic ability, I think like an outright qualification is probably out of reach for me, but maybe someday. But right now, this is my way in for it, and yeah, really looking forward to it.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you got in, and I would love to have you back on after you get back from Kona.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So, how can athletes follow you?
So I'm on Strava, so you can connect with me on there. And other than that, I'm on Facebook and Instagram. I've been using that a lot this summer. Just I find it as a good way to just share photos, and not get into too much personal stuff. So I've been using that a lot lately as well.
Okay. Well, we already know what your definition of a perfect race is, so I would actually like to ask you something a little bit different to tie up this episode. So, if you could put together an ideal triathlon course to include weather conditions, what would you want on each swim, bike, and run and weather?
Weather, probably like overcast and 60s. I know that for sure. Or about 60 would be perfect. Triathlon course, and this is something I've been thinking about and talking a little bit with local triathlon club actually, is so as you know, I'm really into like the gravel cycling. And I know there's a few races out there like this that use like gravel cycling as the cycling leg of the triathlon. And I think it'd be really cool to do that. Here in Nebraska, we have like some of the best gravel riding in the country. Is to do a swim, maybe like an Olympic distance type of swim, so like 1,500 meters, and then go do 40 or 50 mile gravel grinder, and then do something like a 10K to 10 mile run after. I think would be really cool. And you could do the run like maybe as like a cross country type of run or something on pavement. But I think like doing that part of the cycling on gravel would be a really fun way to do a race.
Wow, it's pretty cool. Well, I just want to thank you so much, Shane, for spending some extra time with me and coming back on the show and being able to share your experience about Boulder. I've really enjoyed this, and I look forward to following you at Kona.
You bet. Thanks.
Hey, have a good day, okay?
Yeah, you too.
Thanks for tuning in today. I hope you were able to learn something from today's episode. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to leave a review on iTunes or share it with a friend. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. If you'd like to see pictures from this athlete's race, learn more about who I am, what I'm doing, or be on the show yourself to share your story, check out my website at CoachTerryWilson.com. Until next time, continue the pursuit.